Hello, friends. I'm live. What is up? I hope you guys are doing well. Got a fun little stream planned for you. In fact, I'm just going to sit back and relax and let him do all the work for me. That's the beautiful part about having people on your channel is that you just sit back and do nothing, and they give you content. So, without further ado, as the title suggests, we have a new Liquity Fork coming live on Pulse Chain, and I will bring the founder up to talk about that while I sit back and do nothing. Mr. Fast Abdul, welcome back to the show.
Greetings, Crypto Sloth. How are you today?
I am doing awesome. How are you?
Good. We're still good for that $50 you were going to pay me to come on, right?
I expected you to pay me, sir, as the founder of the protocol. I'm the influencer. I'm the one who gets paid to shill things. I think you forgot.
Crap. Okay. Yeah. Oh, fair enough. Strangely enough, I have a no bribe policy, but we'll talk after this.
I've heard about that. You've really lost a lot of potential user bases from the lack of bribes. I hear they work very well.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Well, I'm down with bribes, tokenized bribes on blockchain, but yeah, just not political bribes and the like. But anyway, that's not why we're here today.
That's neither here nor there. Today we're talking about printing money with something that gets printed out of thin air.
Let's do it.
Go ahead, man. The floor is yours. Tell us about it. What are you doing? What are you building?
So we're going to do a Liquity Fork for what we basically have done. It's in audit right now. Liquity Fork for INC. So INC will be the collateral to mint a stablecoin, much like Liquity, of course, on Ethereum. Liquid Loans that uses Pulse's collateral, Earn that uses Pulse Hex's collateral, and Flex that uses Hex's collateral. We're completing the set on the Pulse chain. Now, for the fourth RH core token, INC, we are going to have a INC-based stablecoin.
Awesome. Why? We have one for Pulse X, and Hex.
Yep.
Why do you think we've had one for INC quite yet? And what made you want to do fill that void? I guess you could say in the Pulse chain ecosystem.
Well, I think the recent changes with INC, the INC inflation being drastically reduced. I think 4 times now, RH has reduced the inflation on INC. So now it's almost nothing. Like the Pulse X farms, you get paid like 2% or something. No, it's less, isn't it? Farm like in some of the.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's like it went from up to 70% APR to farm on Pulse X in INC tokens to nearly nothing, right? So the INC token has become much more rare. We saw a fair bit of price appreciation when that happened. And I think a lot of people are looking at their INC bags a little bit different, more like not something they necessarily want to sell all the time. That caused me to take a little closer look at INC. And it seems that INC has some potential, including code where it could, potentially become a DAO token, things of that nature. Right. So
I'm looking at the APRs right now. Everything except for what I call the value backing pools are less than 1%. And actually, they changed the weightings of the value backing pools where DAI is the biggest one. So that's still paying 11% APR, which really isn't that bad, especially for those who have big bags and need a place to park their stuff and DCA out on the way up. But all the other ones are basically just like not worth it to do anymore.
Totally. And even then, like you mentioned DCAing out on the way up, like that's the reason that you'd get into that pool, because like if you were just bullish on Pulse, like the impermanent loss on the Pulse to DAI pair would be very high, right? So unless you're planning on selling anyway, maybe not necessarily the play in my opinion for 10% APR. When it was 70%, like it was kind of sexy, right? Even if you weren't selling, you just wanted to ride the wave. But yeah, if you're bullish on the Pulse price, maybe not so much. But the safest pair, Pulse to Pulse X, that's like almost nothing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really even no point in doing that. Like before, even when it was like 9%, like I could see the people with like gigabags like doing it, because like 10% on like tens of millions of dollars, even with bad and permanent loss working against you in Pulse X terms, works out, because like who cares if you go from 10 million to 12 million if you can't sell it? Like you might as well get something out that you can feasibly sell. But now like 0.3%, like 1% of a million is what, 10 grand. So that's like $3,600 a year on a $1 million deposit. Like, go somewhere like there's so like just go V2 honestly at that point.
Totally. Yeah. You're way better off just collecting the swap fees from the trades moving through the pair than since V1 has no swap fees. The chances are.
Yeah.
I agree with that totally. So I figure people are probably looking for yield. That's the other part of the equation, right? So we have this much rare ink token. We have people who were formerly or perhaps currently still farming on Pulse X who are looking for a way to generate yield. And one of the benefits, as I'm sure you're aware of these liquidity forks and with Ink Printer, you'll be able to more or less take your ink, turn it into a stable coin via the protocol, right? And then that stable coin can be single-sided staked inside the protocol for yield. So it's sort of de facto single-sided staking for the ink token with no time lock, right? And it's and you can actually move back and forth. If you want your ink back, you just pay off your loan that you took against the ink, and you can take your ink back, which of course makes it into a potential leverage situation. If ink doubles in price, right? You can if you put in 10 grand, you take out $5,000 into ink dollar INCD, and ink doubles in price, and that's now worth 20 grand. You still only have to pay 5 grand back to take your ink back, right? Or you can take out another 5 grand and retain the exact same collateralization level. So, in that way, it could be used to ensure that your position is can be leveraged. You could even use that to buy more ink or to buy other RH assets, right? And when the price goes up, you still get that price appreciation potentially, as long as you're responsible and reasonable with your collateralization levels, it can be quite the play. And then, some degen traders might play it another way. Maybe they'll look at it as a stop loss, right? Be like, which is totally valid, because the same scenario, you put in 10 grand, you take out 5 grand, ink drops in price by 80%, which is fairly unlikely in my opinion, at least not in a short time frame. Maybe you get liquidated, but that's like a stop loss because you get to keep that 5 grand you already took out. And you could use that to buy the bottom and end up with more total tokens than you had in the first place easily, right?
As long as you didn't spend that $5,000, is then you're out of luck.
Indeed. Well, if you turn it into Lambos, then it's hard to get it back on the blockchain. But if you have it staked inside the protocol, all you have to do is press unstake, right? It's a much simpler process, and then deposit back in your vault.
Yep. Monitor those liquidations though, folks. That's the big thing with that pool. Every once in a while, liquidations goes through and your coins pay off that bad debt. So then you get ink tokens. So if you want to, and you get that at a 10% discount at when the liquidation occurs based on the protocols that are already out, which you're just forking it. So it should be the same.
Yep.
So just keep an eye on that if you want to just sell that and then put it in for an easy 10% gain, or use that as a way to DCA back into ink. But keep an eye on that. And as well with your vaults, keep an eye on the redemptions, because if you are on the top pages for the risky vaults, then you lose ink and you just get your debt paid off for you essentially. So two things I like to tell people when dealing with these, because there is a little bit of monitoring that has to go in the background to make sure that you have the same stuff that you want in place.
Yeah, agreed. So it's good to be on the receiving end of a liquidation in terms of if you're staked inside the stability pool, then you'll earn ink and print token and the ink dollar. But if you're getting liquidated, you want to avoid that process if you can. However, unlike liquid loans that has a $200 deposit you lose in case of liquidation, it's only $50, which is the same format as they did with Earn and Flex for Pulse X and Hex's collateral. And we're also going with the $500 vault size versus the 2,000 that liquid loans did.
Gotcha.
So that's the difference.
The 500 seems like a good amount because the 2,000 really starts to limit you, not just because you need so much, mostly just for you need so much for a good collateralization ratio if the minimum is 2,000. But if you have 500, you could start to get to those higher numbers much easier.
Totally.
Yeah.
If you're 2,000, you might have, depending on what's going on, one day you might have to put in $4,000, $6,000 to maintain a collateralization level. But at 500, yeah, it's the smaller multiples. It just makes it that much easier and easier to do different strategies to run multiple wallets. Like there's only one vault per wallet, but at $500, like maybe you have 3 wallets with different collateral ratios doing different things. Like, I can think of lots of ways that we could do up flow charts to think of reasons you might do that, right? Yeah. Your stop loss wallet, your leverage wallet, whatever you want.
Exactly. Why we're kind of somewhat on only slightly tangential to the original point of the decreased ink inflation, and why that was part of the reason why you decided to go with ink, or now was a good time to make the fork. What's the big mechanistic change, or like how does the systemic risk change with ink having so much inflation from before, or more inflation from before versus now?
Well, I think when you don't have as much of the token coming out, that makes the price more stable, or even if it ends up being sought after, it's certainly the price could go up quite a bit. So I think if we're getting to a point in the market where we're likely to see prices going up anyway, and then we have this asset that's suddenly become much more rare and has potential future utility, it makes it way better to use in something like a liquidity fork. And the truth is, I think like the 3 other forks on the Pulse chain are going to do very well in the next 12 months or more, because once price keeps going up on the asset, it'll be a lot more fun to play with these. Like when you go back to okay, I'm at a 200% collateralization ratio. I'll go back tomorrow and you're at 250, and by the weekend you're at 300, and then by Monday you can take out another $5,000, right? And still be in a reasonable place. They're going to get a lot more action when it's price go up time. There's going to be likely less liquidations. Not that there's a ton of liquidations anyway. But I think they're going to be, they're going to be just generating a lot of fees. There's going to be a lot of users participating, and there's going to be a lot of people enjoying having leverage on assets that are worth more every day, right? Mm-hmm. You can really use this as a tool in that time. It's less of a good tool when prices on the way down, perhaps, are not as fun at the very least, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, if you're a leverage on something and price is going down, you're just leveraged to the downside. Like you just get more down. So leverage really is only fun on the way up. On the way down, it's not so fun. Yeah, but yeah, that makes sense for why this is a good time for it, and that also helps flex out a bit too with Hex's inflation going down drastically as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Now for the print token, that's the utility one, right? That earns the protocol fees when you stake it.
You bet. So that's the it's the print token. Description is ink printer, and you can stake that right via the front end, and then you get the redemption gains of actual ink tokens. So that's why we call it ink printer. And then you get the issuance gains of the ink dollar. So every time somebody mints the ink dollars, you get that. Every time somebody redeems, you actually get ink tokens that you could put back into the system. So pretty smooth that way. So
well, then with this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I understand it correctly, you're not having a sacrifice for that token, correct?
I was looking for $55 million. Nope, sorry, no sacrifice. Yeah, we're gonna low blow. I'm sorry.
I'll reach in my back pocket, see if I can find some under the couch cushion for you, just to help you out. A spare 55 mil.
I think we're just gonna send it, but I might take you up on that next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, audit's almost done, and once it's done, it's gonna come out. That's it.
Perfect. So how is the print token going to be distributed?
It's people can choose to purchase it if somebody makes liquidity, but the main way to get the print token is to participate with the protocol and stake your stable coins, the ink dollar, inside the protocol, and you get the print token for free. That's a good place to start, right? There's also going to be 2 incentivized liquidity pools that will be giving out the print token for a full 365 days. So nice. One pool will, and it I think Liquid Loans only did a month, and then Earn or Flex did Earn did like 3 months, and then Flex is also doing a year. And we just decided we're just going with the year, right? So for a full year, there'll be incentivized liquidity via the protocol front end. The liquidity lives on PulseX. So you're just dropping PulseX LP tokens. And there's one pair that's stable only. So it'll be the ink dollar against DAI from Ethereum. And that's it. All right. And then, So it's pairing it with DAI, which is going to make it a stronger dollar anyway, because that's really important for stable coins, that they can move in and out of other stable coins. So that'll be heavily incentivized with the print token. A large portion of the tokens go towards incentivizing these two farms. And then the other farm is the print token against ink, which seems fitting, right? And you have two volatile assets, so they can kind of move up together. If ink has positive price action, it can pull up the price of print, which I think would be a positive thing as well.
Ink and print, and then what's the stable ticker again?
INCD, ink dollar.
INCD, that's what I thought. Yep, INCD and DAI. I actually think that's pretty smart. Did the other ones have like the state, like USDL and Pulse? That was their incentivized liquidities. I can't remember.
I think they were against Pulse, and then with Earn it was against Pulse X, and with Flex I know it's against Hex. So I think, which obviously could be some advantages there as well, but I think being paired against a stable is a more long-term advantage.
No, I actually think it's better personally, because I was thinking about this with liquidity forks generally. When you pair it with the main asset that it's back to, when people take their loans in those stables and then sell it, the way the routing works is the stables get sold for that base asset anyways. So it almost kind of breaks like the idea of like you're still pushing the price down if you're exiting through those liquidity pools in that way. But if you have one directly with stable coins and then you sell those stables for DAI to exit, well, I mean, you're taking money out of the ecosystem, sure, but that money has already been pulled out to be put in that liquidity pool. So you're not through routing selling the base token when you're exiting, which I think is a healthier setup for when you have like collateralization ratios that are dependent on that dollar value anyways. But there's really not enough liquidity in those stuff to really affect the USD price of like Pulse Hex or Pulse X. So like it's kind of like a pedantic point. But still, I think from a fundamentals perspective, I like that you're pairing it with a stable coin.
Yep. And there is a ton of DAI on the Pulse chain, right? Like it's, Richard's incentivizing people to provide liquidity for DAI. So will we, right? And if we more the merrier as far as stables on the chain, right? Whether they're this stable or other stables, it is very good for the chain to have more stables, and it's good to have more farming things to do with stables. So, and with that in mind, it's very likely that we'll see additional farms on Fux and 2Fux, I suspect. Of course, that's up to the Fux team, which pools become farms. But we'll probably look at trying to make that happen for both the stable coin and the print token, having farming options as soon as we can, so that of course people have more options, then they're less diluted in their farming pairs. And if there's two farms that are paying for print and two farms that are paying for the ink dollar, then people can go into each of them separately, and everybody gets 50% more yield potentially, right? So I think that's one lever that I'll pull if I can, and I think that'll maybe even give us an advantage over some of the previous forks, especially in the early days, which is really important with a protocol like this. You want to get as many stables out there paired against other stables as you can in a short period of time, because it'll make it more stable and reduce things like redemptions and stuff like that, and give people the ability to sell into the pool without having a lot of slippage on the stable coin, right? Because stable coins have slippage too. Like they are just coins. Right? Yeah.
It's all funny money at the end of it, but we want this one to be a little less funny than the other ones.
Exactly.
We're trying to make it, and actually, we've kind of poked fun at the other ones a little bit, but they did recently get listed on fiat as being able to deposit. So that was a really big step forward for them in terms of maturity for the PH team to see that they had enough liquidity and activity to at least begin that availability to deposit and take loans against those stable coins. So obviously that won't, exactly. Obviously that won't happen for INDC immediately, but it's nice to see that road has already been paved.
Indeed. Yeah. And those guys have really paved the road on a lot of things, including educating the community, which is another thing that makes this a great time to launch this protocol. Is like, it's 4 out of 4 in the set. And, we had some pretty smart people talking about the previous 3 and explaining to everybody exactly how they worked. Right. So, since we're going with effectively the same protocol with some just minor tweaks that I'll go over in a minute, a large portion of the Pulse Chain community knows exactly how to use this protocol, and that's going to reduce my burden substantially.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm kind of didn't describe anything here because I'm just assuming everybody knows what's going on. This is pretty old news at this point, in terms of like the mechanics of it. Quick question from the chat: front end's the same?
Not exactly the same, very similar. Right? There'll be some notable differences, but mostly we've just condensed. We've taken a very similar looking front end to Flex or Earn, and we've compressed it so that it's just a little bit different feel. Actually, I can show you. I have it right here.
Oh, nice.
One moment. Actually, I have a test net that I'm going to make live for the public this evening.
Nice. Also, good to see you, Gingerbread Man. As we speak of, we don't need to talk about mechanics. Let's talk about some mechanics. Can you explain at a high level the difference between redemption and liquidation? I'm excited about it, but trying to better understand so I can use it to the best of my ability. I'll let you take it away, Fast and Cool. You got this one.
So liquidation is generally less desirable. You're going to lose that $50 deposit, and you're going to end up in a situation where you're likely at much more of a loss. Redemption is more of a net neutral. The lowest collateralized vault is the one that gets redeemed against. Excuse me. It effectively is just paying off your loan, right? So it's like you could be in a neutral position depending what the price says after, but you might lose your ink position you had inside the protocol, but you had your loan paid off. So, like it could be a zero difference, but if the price keeps going up and you didn't know about it and you didn't buy back in, that's where you could feel like you're at a loss. So redemption's more of I feel like I'm at a loss, but it depends on the day. You could be, if the price is going down, you could be at a win. But it's like, if it's not part of your plan, you don't want it, right? So that's why I'm working on making some changes to the redemption with this protocol. Liquidation is generally undesirable. There are exceptions, and certainly some people, I'm sure, do get liquidated on these protocols on purpose to exit a large position, just like, they literally set the lowest collateralization level and use it to get out of the position. But again, if you're planning that, that's great. If you're not planning it, you're going to be in a situation where, first off, you lose your $50, which is not the end of the world. But also you're going to be scrambling with what you have left after liquidation to rebuy or not rebuy. It depends on what you did with those funds. If you're planning for this in some way and you took out huge leverage and you thought the price was going to crash and it did, and you still have the stablecoin in your hand and you can run out and buy more ink, right? If that was your plan, then you could definitely win on a liquidation, but you, at the very least, you lost $50. That's the minimum loss on a liquidation. So with that in mind, redemption is actually a reasonable tool. I've actually been redeemed against on purpose multiple times in the other protocols. It's not a terrible way to exit a large position. Whereas the liquidation, it doesn't feel as good, and you for sure lost a little bit of money in that process. How does that sound, Sloth?
Does the strategy of being liquidated on purpose to exit your position, I'm trying to think if it actually makes sense, because you're going from a highly liquid asset to a lower liquid asset via the stable coin that you get in your loan. So if you have a large position and then you get it's still going to be a large position of the stable, don't you still have the slippage problem? Or you've magnified the slippage problem?
It would that'll depend on the liquidity for the stable at that point in time. You can also depending, we'll get into redemption in a moment, because there is an option to redeem the stables rather than sell the stables. Though for most people that won't be a good option. So,
but you're just redeeming it for the same asset you got liquidated in, right?
Excuse me?
You're just redeeming it for the same asset you just liquidated out of, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So why would you do that? It doesn't sound like a good play. I think you'd also a lot of people are using these protocols as like a tax thing, where you didn't sell your tokens, instead you took out a loan against them, which in many jurisdictions wouldn't tax you. But I believe that most of those jurisdictions, the liquidation itself would be a taxable event. Right. So another potential negative. So it's like, if you can avoid it, in my opinion. Though it's not that, like, I've never been liquidated on purpose or by accident in any of these protocols. Maybe I did a test once or something, but No, I don't think I did. Only on testnet.
Mhm.
But I redeemed against multiple times on purpose because it was useful in the moment that day for the thing I had planned. But for the
Gotcha.
yeah, but for liquidation, yeah, I don't think it's not that easy to do. We don't see, even on bad days, and Pulse Chain's seen some bad days. Like you typically don't see an 80% price swing or a 50% price swing, or usually even a 20% price swing. Once in a while you do, right? But like, if it's pretty easy to stay above the minimum 110% collateralization level not to get liquidated. And I always have in the back of my head that 150% is the absolutely minimum where you could be at, because that's the line where if the protocol goes into recovery mode, which is just when things aren't very healthy because there's not enough collateral, etc., that you could be liquidated. So above 150 is my personal absolute minimum at any given time. There's reasons you might go higher than that, to be sure.
Yeah. And really quick before I pull that screen up, Sailor May says, in theory, even after launch, could you see people entering immediately or waiting for ink price to go up to around 10? Both. Just depends on how big their bag is. If they need $10 ink to be able to hit the $500 minimum or for it to make sense, then they'll wait. I believe you can't just deposit and then take a loan later. You have to take a loan when you deposit into the vaults. So you can't just wait, as far as I'm aware.
You could take a very small loan, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can put in $1,000 and take out $50, right? Like, there's not really a big advantage doing that. I'm pretty sure that people will want to, like, short of the reason you said where it's like they don't have $500 of ink yet. I'm pretty sure if they have the ink, they're going to want to leverage it on the way up, right? Because that's where it'll certainly be the most fun and probably the most profitable. When your ink doubles, once a month, the value doubles, like, and you can leverage that value. That'll be a good couple months.
When double every 44 days? When that again?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. Yeah. I think that.
You remember that? Remember that in Hex? That was a thing. That was a thing. It's like Hex doubles every 44 days.
It's just a rule.
Yeah.
It's in the code.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not true.
Yeah.
Okay, here we are. So we have the basic dashboard here. There's another page before this. This is just like the entry page that gives a description and link to the white paper and stuff, but this is the gist of it. So we can see very similar to the look that Earn and Flex did, sort of a no nonsense. Here's all the data you need. Off to the right here, you have like the ink price, which look, it's at 250 on testnet, which is fine. You have the print token, which is this price is relevant right now, and then the ink dollar, which here is slightly over $1. And then all the other details regarding the TVL, the supply, etc. Exactly the same information that they displayed with the other protocols, because that's useful. You can enter and leave, increase your collateral, reduce your collateral, right, via the vault screen, right? Be as collateralized as you want to be, or wreck yourself by taking out a stupid amount, whatever you need.
Yeah.
So and then for
you're able to decrease your collateral without paying the loan off.
As long as you stay above the 110% collateralization level, yeah.
Oh, how do you do that?
You could just take out ink tokens, right? So like right now, I'm down 7.9% collateral. This is terrible. It's not real. But yeah, you can remove ink as long as you're within, like, above the 110% range, cool. Right? You can't remove ink until you get liquidated, but you could bring it pretty close too, I guess. So, and then you can also, like right now, we can see this vault is, flying on the edge here, 145%, but he could still choose to decrease his collateral ratio, right, and take out more until it gets to a point where it's too close, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it won't let us pass the point where you're just going to immediately get liquidated, but within a certain range, you can do it.
Awesome.
So then we got the stability pool. So that's where you stake your stablecoin. So this is what I like to think of, almost single-sided ink staking, right? Because you turn your ink to a stablecoin, you can stake it here. Then you get you'll get the print token. And then of course you'll get the liquidation gains as well. But the print token, that you get that all the time, right? Like it's always going to feed out the print token. just for having a stake there, even if there are no liquidations on that day, that month, that year. So then staking up the print token, which gives you the redemption gains. So that's when people redeem it for $1. You actually get ink, which is why we call it the ink printer token. And then the issuance gains, whenever somebody mints ink dollars, which I think early on, this will probably be a particularly good place to be, you get the issuance gains. So it actually pays you in dollars and in ink, right, to participate there. And then we move the farms, we move right to this page. And the farms just live on PulseX, like as far as the LP tokens. So you're depositing a PulseX V2 LP token into the farm. So you're earning both compounding and then the bonus print tokens on top. And these get a large supply of the tokens for that first year. So it'll be pretty lucrative in my opinion. And of course, you can just come right back up here and stake your print token, nothing to it. So there's which one's this? Yeah, ink dollar to DAI LP staking. And then we'll have the print ink LP staking.
Nice. Yep. Pretty similar to the other ones. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yep. And that's part of the reason we went with a very similar format, partly because, they're all based on open code for Liquity Forks. Like you can just go on the Liquity GitHub and take a front end code. They actually do that on purpose, right? And one day I'll probably post this front end code so somebody else could put up an alternate front end for an immutable protocol with no admin keys that somebody could choose to front end for.
Yeah, one lazy Liquity Fork, right?
Well, we'll keep an eye on your tokenomics and distribution, and we'll see when it makes sense to back stablecoin. I think it could be done. It could be done for almost anything, but it's you really need a little more liquidity than you have right now.
I was about to say, I think I need more than $50,000 of liquidity in the token to support.
Probably that would be better. Nobody's ever tried it, so we don't want it until we try.
Why not? Right? If I fail, it's only $50,000. That's not that. Who cares?
Well, not just your $50,000, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh well, lost my camera. Hold on. Let me try to get this back. Oh man, here we go. Keep talking. Let me try to get this up.
Yeah, you bet. So there's a couple minor changes that we're making. I think this will probably hit home with you right away. So how with all the other Liquity forks, they all did a 14-day period of time where there was no redemptions. And that I remember that because I participated with all of them. And that was like the gravy time because you didn't have to worry about being redeemed against. So you had an option to have a relatively low collateralization level without the threat of redemption, right? Which is, again, better than liquidation, but without the threat of redemption at all for those first 14 days. We've decided to make the change to 45 days. So for the first month and a half, there'll be no redemption.
Cool. It looks like I'm going no camera. Sorry, man.
That's cool. We'll work it out. I'm pretty enough for both of us.
So 40, how many days before with no redemption?
45 days instead of 14 days with no redemption. Gotcha.
Okay, that makes sense. So the internal mechanism that is keeping the price at $1 isn't available quite yet, but obviously you need to get the system going, get things bootstrapped before you unlock that mechanic. But that makes sense.
Yeah, and it will unlock after 45 days, period, right? Whereas on other forks they did the 14 days, but I think having 45 days will get a lot more liquidity into the stablecoin in particular, and probably a lot more into that farming pair, and it's going to make it way stronger long term.
Nice. That makes sense. Let's see, what other questions did I have? This is just, we're joking about like the lazy liquidity fork, but this is just a general thing to talk about for liquidity forks generally, to say the same word 3 times. I think that's like a good goal for anybody who's trying to make their own ecosystem to get enough liquidity and like activity to be able to support something like this. Like I think that's a big benchmark in any kind of token where you can start to add these leverage tools on top of it in a healthy way.
Indeed, I agree. And once you and I reach the level of RH, maybe we can have liquidity forks for our tokens. It's not impossible though. These things are they really work. Like this is the 39th fork of Liquity that I know of.
Yep. Yeah, they do work. It's a time tested protocol at this point. It's been the base protocol has been through a bear market already, so we know it works, and the internal redemptions work. The peg stays, like USDL, LUSD survive the 2022-2023 bear market, even amongst all the fiasco. I remember of the USD depeg. Yeah, it went down to like 86 cents. LUSD was like $1.12, like when that was going on.
Yeah, that was great. I had great fun that weekend. That was just that one weekend, and yeah, we had 86 cents USDC. Yeah,
talk about free money, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I remember going into Liquity, like LUSD, and it going up to that like $1.16. And at $1.16, I used it to buy back USDC.
Yeah,
and it was awesome.
The easiest get a big bag of ETH, lever up as much as you can, and then buy the discounted stable coin for a guaranteed return. And then basically you just get that extra percent on top of what the LUSD was worth at that time.
Exactly. Like it started over the ceiling and it kept pushing up over the ceiling. And that's the beauty of these protocols too, is there is a ceiling and the floor. So like if the Inc. dollar goes over $1, which especially in that first 45 days, that's totally feasible that could happen. Could happen later, but I think on some others we've seen that like $1.16, $1.10, when people are trying to get into farms and stuff. And if that happens, you can take Inc., put in the protocol, mint the Inc. dollar, and then sell it into another stable coin to capitalize on the difference. So if you can mint $1.16 with $1, in my opinion, you win. So, but you have to sell that into another stable coin to collect the money. That'd be the route if it goes too high.
Exactly. And hey, if the SAC wallet dumped all $400 million into the core tokens and that very high likely event, maybe all these altcoin ecosystems might have enough money in their stuff to be able to play around.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now there could be a huge shift to the Pulse chain when that happens.
Hey, there I am without my background. You guys get a little peek into my life. Let me see if I can get it back.
Looks classier than I thought it usually does, actually.
A little home office. I'm gonna get this fixed. I feel a little exposed. But anyways, what was I saying? Just as a quick tangent, it's crazy with this decreased liquidity how easy it is for the whole ecosystem to pump. Like I was looking at numbers, that Pampy.app thing, and like just like 10 million into Hex, just doing it right now. 1 second. That gets Hex to what, 20 cents. That's at 18x, which is like 10 million net buy pressure. That's pretty crazy. Like that's not that much money.
No, that's like one big whale coming in could do it. That's pretty crazy. And of course it works both ways, but I think RH probably intentionally reduced the Inc. yield so that people would pull their liquidity from the farm so that the price could pump easier. That's probably the primary reason he did that. And he must have a reason to believe that the price is going to pump. Otherwise, the reverse would have been better to do, right?
Yeah. And so even the reverse kind of works out as well, because you can buy out larger positions for cheaper because they push the price down so much more. So if you were looking to flush people out, lower liquidity is better because you can just gobble up tokens a lot faster.
That's true. It makes it so that smart whales won't sell. But if somebody does, if you have a limit order set and you're trying to buy the dip, you can buy better dips. They'll get bought up a lot faster, but which we've totally seen in the last couple of days. There was a dip and now it's gone. Exactly. But yeah, I think we're heading towards the time. Not financial advice, but that's what it looks like to me. Everything's pointing towards that. We have less Inc., less liquidity, more utility, lots of stuff going on.
Yep. And for everyone to remember, even though liquidity stand out hard on those value backing pairs, so there's 11, 17, 20, $22 million dollars backing it on the Pulse on the V1 farms. I gotta look and see what V2 shows for those. But as the price goes up and those pools get filled, then we'll have more backing liquidity as things go up. It's like we're just trying to equilibrate at a higher point, is what it feels like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But have you looked at like how high the price of the ink token would have to go to make those farms pay well now? Like,
yeah, I can look. Let me pull up the Pampy app again. So the interesting thing is because Ink and PulseX both have liquidity with Pulse, and then they have liquidity together. So their liquidity is a lot thicker than Hex's. Hex's is kind of on its own.
yeah,
So its pumpability is much higher than the other ones. But if we put, let's do 10 million into Ink.
Yep.
That gives us a 9x in Ink. So that just rounded up to a 10x. That's gonna, assuming no extra TVL, which naturally the TVL is also gonna go up with the price going up.
true.
But let's just assume none. That's gonna bring them up to like 6% APR. So if we do a half of that, 3% APR in those. So still not worth it. So let's add a 5 to it, 50 million. That gives us $277 ink, which is 130x price. So if we take that divided by 2, what is that? 70x. So 70x on all of these prices. All of a sudden, you start getting higher double digit numbers, probably like 20% ish.
But yeah, still not that exciting though, right? So I think the path for ink is not to be sold nearly as much as it was before, right? We're down to 0.03 ink per second. It's and I bet you we see that number start ticking down 0.02, 0.01. And then I'm wondering.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish up.
Then I'm wondering if at that point that we're going to see a change in the functionality for ink. If there's going to be an announcement that ink is going to be a DAO token or something of that nature, which is far from impossible. In fact, it says it right in the code that could be true. I pulled up the ink MasterChef contract, and it says right there, note that it's this contract is ownable and the owner wields tremendous power. The ownership will be transferred to a governance smart contract once ink is sufficiently distributed and the community can show that it can govern itself.
Like, well, that last one is a big if.
Indeed. Yeah, that could be a while. Yep. Still, it's possible. The code is made for it.
Yeah, and I'm not even making fun of you guys out there in the audience. I'm saying just look at us two talking up here about stuff. When can we start making these decisions? I don't know. It's going to be a while before you start trusting some dentist who LARPs as a sloth on the internet.
Yeah, well, give the governance to the dentist and the camel trader. We'll see how that goes.
Right.
They could do worse, man. They could do worse.
It could do worse. It could be a squirrel and I don't know, some other animal, a gorilla trader.
Indeed. Yeah, those are around sometimes.
Little shot at my man, Red Squirrel. Hope you're doing well, buddy. There's something I was gonna say. What was it? Oh yeah, it seems like the first condition has basically been met at this point with the decreased inflation, because it's pretty much distributed. With the decreased inflation, pretty much when you sell your bag, of course, assuming price is going up, like you're selling your bag, like you're kind of not going to get that bag ever again.
Farming anyway.
At least off of like not for just throwing your coins up in a liquidity pool, and then regaining your position. So it's becoming a normal token like everything else.
Agreed.
So that makes the distribution not hard locked, but like closer to it. And then maybe a couple iterations of flushing large wallets out that want to sell to get that distribution more diversified. And then that first condition is pretty close to being met already.
Agreed. Ink printer is probably going to be giving out more ink than PulseX at some time in the future, right? Like on a daily basis, if it gets the adoption that I think it will. So, but if those conditions are met, then if there ends up being a DAO, that could be a thing. I plugged the ink code into ChatGPT the other day because I didn't want to pay my devs to do it, And I got back from ChatGPT. Like they'll do it, but I got to pay.
I put it to ChatGPT because I don't want my devs to put it into ChatGPT and I pay them for it. I'm sorry.
Just to be clear, I paid the devs to do the code. I just didn't want to pay them to look at Richard's code for my my marketing purposes. But it told me that users, it says this is a governance token. Users can use it to delegate voting power and participate in on-chain votes. It supports minting, burning, delegation, and making it ideal for a staking, governance, or DeFi reward system. So it's like, it's right in the code that it is meant for that purpose. So maybe that is the purpose, right? We don't know. Richard hasn't consulted me lately, but he did put it right in the code. So we'll see what happens. But I'm bullish on it personally.
Yeah. And hey, in this world of no promises and no expectations, we were promised party token, right? You could stake your equal party token. That was part of testnet.
Missed opportunity. I should have had it be party token instead of print token. Then I could have fulfilled the promise. Oh well.
Oh well. Too late now, buddy.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to pay for a new audit for that one.
That's right. Yeah, forget that. Audits are expensive.
I know,
actually, this audit's not that expensive because, like, when you tell an audit team, like, oh, this is a straight one-to-one Liquity Fork, they're like, oh, okay, that's not like it's. They have so many iterations to go off of and so many previous audits to go off of that. There's a lot of compiled data on Liquity Forks, and mostly they just have to prove that this is indeed a straight one-to-one Liquity Fork with only changes to things like minimum vault size, and no back doors. Yeah, so it's not a tough audit for them.
Do me a favor. I know you probably don't want to say how much it is on stream, but type it in the private chat. I'm just curious to see how much an audit is for this. Yeah. Like what's a low end?
I will hook you up with the low end. So
it's about, get that Trinity audited.
It's less than $500,000, but more than $14.
Yep. With a couple zeros in between. But hey, what's a couple zeros between friends, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Zeros are nothing. The results should be out pretty quickly. So like next week, you and I will both be in Vegas speaking at the PLS 369 conference. And then when we get back, I should have a completed audit. I think I'll have it before I leave, actually. And then we'll get into start talking about the launch phase.
That's exciting, especially launching something right around the time of the conference is pretty cool. Because you have something to talk about.
Yep, I'll have something to talk about. That's always fun. And it's not going to be a secret, right? Like there'll be a specific launch date. I'll probably, like once I know 100% we are ready to launch, I will probably add 7 days and be like, okay, in 7 days we're launching and make it as public as possible. So it's not, this isn't a stealth launch. This isn't a meme coin. All right. There's no, we're not worried about sniper bots. Like we're just going to send it, but it will be done correctly with proper notice. If you want to participate, you can participate. You'll have time to do your learning. You have time to prepare your bags. I won't be tapping anybody on the shoulder to make sure they get in early. It'll just be out for everybody at the same time.
Yeah. And if you have questions and you want to ask me about them, join my school community where you can ask me questions for free. Give you guys that link.
How many questions can I ask you?
At least one, but less than 1 million.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I'll be sure to book back-to-back sessions. Yeah. I need some help figuring out how this thing works.
Yeah, I'll help you out. Throw me the code. I'll throw it into ChatGPT, and then I'll send you an invoice.
Yeah, I do support you on that, though. Sloth is probably one of the best people to talk to on the chain for Liquity Forks in particular. To make sure he how it works. He knows exactly how all of them work, as well as like the Hedron, Icosa, and Hex ecosystems. I can't think of anybody better that would actually take your call.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you, man. Join that school community. That's an easy way to ask me questions where I can get back to you in a reasonably timely manner. Maybe a day or two as I check it and make my own little posts. And I do calls over there, Zoom calls every other week. So if you want to talk with me on a Zoom call, like we're best friends, that's the place to do it every other week.
There we go.
Yeah. But
You're
I'm
doing
excited,
Zoom
man.
calls via the school thing?
Yeah. They have like a little. I'll show you. I'll pull up my screen. Let me close some tabs so I don't dox myself. Although it's probably not that hard to find me if you really want to at this point. So yeah, this is just it's a basic social media like form, like you just post. And I actually have one in 3 days, but I'm canceling it because I'm going to be out of town, so that will not happen. But if you go to this, and I'm making a course here, so this will be up a free course, at
Sweet.
least for the time being. So yeah, every other week I do a standing stream now, and then afterwards I do a Zoom call with anybody that wants to hop on. And then all the times are here. You just click the link, and then the Zoom link is right there, and you can talk to me like we're in the same room, but on the internet.
Okay. I knew you did that, but I didn't really want to get into it because I didn't want to learn new things. But now I know, so I'm just going to be there every day.
There you go, man. I also hear you have some giveaways. I hear there's some apes available. You wanna give the people the info on that?
Amongst other things. So first off, we're doing like just a little contest for fun. It's not critical to the protocol in any way. But to be entered in the contest, all you have to do is join the Telegram room. And once you're in the Telegram room, you'll be entered in the contest. The first prize is $1,000 worth of ink, which is probably most people will be okay with. It's enough to open your own vault. All right. Second prize, $500 worth of the print token, which you can stake to make ink. And then the third prize, which probably should have been the first prize because I think it might end up being worth the most, is a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. Now, it's a copied Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, like a P copy that happened when the fork happened of the Pulse chain from Ethereum. There's less Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs on Pulse chain than there is on Ethereum because only the ones that existed up to that point were copied. But it is, an official Bored Ape Yacht Club P copy. One sold the other day for about $1,600. It was 33 million Pulse.
Not bad.
I'm sharing a screen there, I think. Can you pull that one up? There we go. There she be. This is the Bored Ape in question.
Your Russian
fellow
ape.
Russian leopard, puffy vest ink, like ink colors-ish ape. That's why I picked this one. So it's from Pulse Market, which has been selling a lot of these Bored Ape Club NFTs. They're starting to go for some serious bucks. So I didn't pay that much for it, but
someone else might.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I bought this months ago, months and months for. I got a great deal, and so I didn't think I was giving up a lot when I put this up for the third prize, but in retrospect, I suspect it may be worth more than the first prize. But hey, beautiful. There it is, and all you got to do is join the Telegram room. Which maybe I should drop in the chat now.
Yeah, throw the link in the chat. I think you're an admin. You can. Yeah, I think you're an admin. You can post it in there.
I'm an admin.
I think so. I gotta change that, but I think you are.
I'm gonna ban all you guys after the stream. All right.
Yeah. In order to deposit ink into the protocol, you gotta dox your YouTube address, and then you get banned from my channel.
Well, I'm not an admin. No, you were wise.
Nope.
I'll
hey,
drop
look
it.
At me go.
I'll drop it in the private chat. RH Max made me an admin the other day. Man, was that
dangerous?
Totally.
I haven't handed out wrenches in a while. Maybe I'll do that sometime for some of the new regulars in town. Also, yeah, thank you, CryptoJack3. Smash that like and subscribe. I always forget to do that. I'm a pretty bad influencer. I forget the common things like follow me.
Yeah, you can also share this to X by pressing the share button, then pressing X, then pressing post. That's all you have to do.
Hey, text it out to your mom or dad, your brothers and sisters. They might want to listen to me.
That's right. Yeah, me too.
They might not get financial. They might not get financial advice, but they could get dental advice. I am licensed for that.
That works. Yeah. When will you be able to accept crypto for dentistry?
Oh man, probably not that too far in the future. I don't know if I said that right. Not too much further in the future. I think the biggest thing is paying overhead with it, right? So it's like you have expenses, and when you
Right.
get the money, you have to pay like lab bills. You got staff to pay, your own stuff to pay. So then that adds just a whole extra layer of, well, okay, I got these tokens. Now I got to sell them. Now I got to get them on an exchange, and now I got to sell them and get in the bank account. It's like unnecessary steps for like no reason, unless
Yep.
like people just like had crypto on their phone and it made it easy to pay that way,
Totally.
right?
Yeah, it
So there's
needs to
more.
be a straight conversion process for real adoption from businesses, because you do like
Yep.
there's always going to be something, even if somehow you convince your dental assistant you could pay her with Pulse Chain or Lazy Token.
Mhm.
There's going to be some supplier that is not going to accept that.
Yeah,
And yeah,
exactly.
once the fiat currency, so you need like, yeah, quick conversion, instant conversion. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
coming. It feels like it's coming.
Yeah, and it does make more sense to go from like the cash you earn in your business, in my case like a dental office, and then throw that into crypto as like an investment for the office, like an investment portfolio for the office, just to like hold capital that you don't necessarily need in the next like 6 months.
Yep.
When dental office buy and burn lazy, I guess we'll find out.
Indeed. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I
will
want to
work.
see.
I will work and burn tokens just to pump your guys' bag. That's how altruistic I am.
Hey, and you're a dentist, so that actually means something in your case.
Yeah,
No,
that actually could happen. Extra utility on lazy dental buy and burn. Every implant, 5% of the proceeds go to pumping your bags.
hey, that's
Yeah.
better than me going back to work to pump people's bags. I didn't get paid that much digging ditches before I started building cryptocurrency products.
You're just digging holes in the wrong places. You had to do it in people's jaws, not the ground.
No, well, if only I'd known. I think it's too late for me.
That's all right. You have your camel business. It'll be okay.
That's true. Well, thanks a lot for having me on, Sloth. I appreciate it. I appreciate
Yeah,
doing
man.
a deep dive with you. And yeah, maybe after it launches, we can take another look and see what the story
Yeah.
is.
Look at the stats, see how the liquidity setup is, look at the TVL, APRs, all the fun stuff that people like.
Yep. Yeah, we'll actually have those numbers. There's almost no way to actually predict those things until it's live.
Yeah. Yeah. Although if they follow the footsteps of the predecessors, it'll be pretty successful.
Well, we're not following all the footsteps because there is the lack of $55 million in sell pressure, which I think could change how the tokenomics end up working for, price and things like that.
I guess we'll
Just
just have
saying.
to find out. It's an unknown. We
It
don't know
is a
till it
total
happens.
unknown how
Yeah.
that would affect things. Could go either way.
Yeah. All right, my friends, listening in on X and YouTube, thank you so much. The Telegram is in the chat below if you want a chance to get free stuff. They're not bribes because, as Fast Abdul said at the beginning, he doesn't do that. It's against his moral code. But giveaways are obviously not bribes. So
That's
go
right.
enter that giveaway and get up to date on all of the relevant information, launch dates, ask questions. I'm sure Yellow Cake's in there. He's great at answering questions. So, yeah. Any last
Cool.
words for you, buddy?
That's it for now. Yeah, take a look at Ink Printer. You can also find me on Twitter under Fast Abdul, as displayed on the screen right now.
Yep. Wait, as it's displayed right now. Yep, he's all over the place. You can see him
Yeah,
harassing people on X. So you'll be able to find him very easily.
indeed.
All right, all right, my friend. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I'm excited for the protocol, and yeah, everybody else, thanks for watching. Peace out.